Welcome back to the Board Game Community Show, the show where we talk to people throughout the community that is board games and get to know them better. That was a little bit of a weird intro, but oh well, that's me. I'm your host, Riley Stock, and today we've got David Rodriguez.
Hi, how's it going?
Good, you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Good. So, you are a writer for, well, you write reviews for the Board Game Squad, right?
That is correct, yes.
Nice. How long have you been doing that?
Not very long at all. I want to say just a couple months. It was kind of a strange thing, The Paul Shapiro, who runs Board Game Squad, he posted something on Twitter looking for anyone who wanted to contribute, and it was kind of funny because in the first part of the day, I saw it in the morning, and I thought, well, that sounds fun. I don't know if I could really do that though. And by the end of the day, I decided, well, it's kind of stupid to not even try this. So I reached out to him, wrote a couple reviews, and he decided that was good. He wanted me to keep contributing. So here we are.
Nice. That's exciting. Did did that kind of launch you into wanting to make videos and whatnot?
Yeah, it definitely did. It was something I thought of before, but I guess at first I wasn't sure what I'd have to contribute. There's a lot of people who do video reviews out there, and so many of them are really fantastic. And I think I started as I started thinking about it more, I realized that really, especially with reviews, I think there's a lot of room for almost anyone to contribute because when you're looking at reviews, it's a lot of it's trying to find someone that you mesh with in terms of your likes and dislikes in games. So there's probably no one that I'm 100% with, and I don't know if anyone is 100% with anyone else, but I got to thinking, well, there's going to be people who mesh better with me than some others. So I can put myself out there, see if anyone enjoys what I put out. And if not, I at least did it. But if so, then fantastic.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. There are an insane amount of people out there.
Yes.
And it's kind of the same thing with podcasts where I'm kind of like, well, should I even do a podcast? There's already so many amazing ones out there. It's like, why
Right.
not? You know, there's
Yeah.
so many different people out there that I can talk to and get to know and they may not get the opportunity to be on other podcasts. And I think as it's kind of the same thing with like designing games.
Hmm.
Everybody can design a game if you devote yourself to it enough, and then that makes it so that there's so many games out there. I'm looking at your reviews and two of these I haven't even heard of, so I'm
Right.
pretty sure that other videos there's not other video reviewers that are doing some of these games.
Yeah, I know the first two I put out, which were Cowboy Bebop Space Serenade and H.A. Holmes' Murder Castle. I don't think Paul had heard of either of those when I said I was going to review them. So
Oh,
well, there's so many games. It's impossible to stay on top of everything. I mean, it's amazing how many huge ones. Suddenly I hear, oh, people have been talking about this for 2 months, and I somehow completely missed it despite listening to a million game review things. That's amazing. But there's a lot out there. So
that
that's
is
just going
really
to happen.
cool.
Yeah.
Cowboy Bebop's one of my favorite anime. So,
Oh
and
yeah.
I've like eyed this game so many times, and after reading your review, I was like, I probably should just get it. This sounds like something I'd enjoy.
It's really great, and I love deck building games, especially. That's probably one of my favorite mechanics, and it's nice because it's one of the few games that I maybe sometimes can defeat my wife at. Usually she stomps me at whatever we play, and she still stomps me a lot at that one too. But occasionally I get one in, and it feels kind of nice for a change. But each
Yeah.
you know each character kind of has a little bit different feel for them, even though you can all purchase from the same cards. It's kind of cool because they have their own special powers as well. So I can kind of imagine some of the wacky stuff going on as I'm doing this move or that one, and picturing the anime. It's almost like making your a new season all for yourself. It's pretty fun that way.
That is really cool. That makes me want
Mhm.
it even more because it's like one of those shows that I feel like perfect first season and then there's nothing else. Well, other than the movie, but
Yeah, and they're doing a live action one, and I hope that turns out good. But I'm so wary of that.
ugh,
The
same.
live action anime. I don't know. I hope it's great.
It,
It's hopefully it will be awesome. But
yeah. I feel like the history of the, animes into live action hasn't been great.
Yeah, yeah, and part of the thing with anime is I just love the art so much that turning it into real people is, oh, it could be tough, but you know,
Yeah.
I'm going to be cautiously optimistic. Hopefully, they'll knock it out of the park, and it'll feel like I'm just watching more of their adventures.
I wonder if we would be more open to like live actions if they had more artistic cinematography.
Yeah, I think if they could, I don't know much about cinematography. If they could find some way to make it look a little more like the anime itself, I guess an example, it wasn't an anime, but the Sin City movie back in the day,
Oh
whether
yeah.
whether you liked the storyline or not, it despite being live action, it almost looked like you were watching a comic book because of how they handled it. It was visually really stunning for sure.
Yeah, I think they captured that really, really well.
Oh yeah,
And then your other one, or your second one, the H.H.
yes,
Holmes Murder Castle. Oh my
yes.
goodness, I'm getting tongue tied there.
Oh, don't worry about it.
That one, it's funny. That one came out. Well, my wife and I went to on a vacation or something, and then we were in the hotel and we started watching a random documentary, and it turned out to be the H.H. Holmes
Oh,
one. And we
yes,
were like, "Oh my gosh, this is insane! Like, holy
yeah,
cow!" Like, and then all of a sudden, like a week or two later, this launched on Kickstarter.
yes.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like we're so obsessed with this right now. The timing of this is so perfect for us.
Did you end up getting it?
No, I didn't. And
Okay.
we were house hunting. And so
Oh, I guess that's a little more important.
I know it was unfortunate because we were house hunting for several months. And during
Oh,
that several months, it was like Kickstarters, so many good Kickstarters during this
yes.
time.
Yeah, I know that one. But it's one of them that I looked at before I even read how the game worked or anything. I was like, well, I'm kind of a big true crime fan, and H.H. Holmes is a really bizarre, Batman villain of a story. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna back that, and then if I keep looking at it and it doesn't look good, I won't keep backing it. But I had to back it immediately, and it as it went on, I was getting more and more excited. And I don't, if I remember right, I don't think it blew its funding goal out of the water, but it was obviously enough to get it out. And I really liked the game. It's really a lot of fun. I think the first game we had sort of an edge case where because the castle comes out randomly and there are some dead ends, and we ended up getting the smallest possible configuration, and so there just wasn't a lot to do. So, but the next game that didn't happen, and then even when we finished, we tried putting out more tiles just to see how it would play out, and we could have gotten every tile out, so it would have been a lot bigger. So we hit a weird one the first time, but after that, it's really a fun game. It's despite the background, it's not grisly by any means. There's a couple like sort of cartoony dead bodies on the board, so you wouldn't want to play it with small kids. But I think like my 10-year-old could probably handle it and not be too weirded out by that at all. But it's a good one. They really did a great job on that.
That is really cool. I'm gonna pick that one up because I think that's a theme that my wife would love.
Oh yeah, I recommend it for sure.
How long have you been married?
10 years.
10 years. Nice.
Yeah. So unless I'm wrong,
Is
it's something like that. Yeah, sure. 10 years ballpark.
ballpark it, yeah. Points for knowing you're married, right?
Yeah, exactly. I am married. I'm pretty sure of that. Yep, nothing's changed. So that's good.
Is she a an avid board gamer? Does she play all of the games with you?
She absolutely does play all the games with me. She's not as entrenched in it as I am. She's not listening to all the podcasts and whatnot. But
Uh-huh.
but I almost always buy games that are. I like the 2 player minimum because I can at least try it with her first, and then the people we play with we can take out there as well. But yeah, she'll play pretty much anything, which is great. And I think it's probably really good for her ego because, like I said, she smashes me at almost everything we play. I'm really good at learning the rules and teaching them, but then actually enacting a strategy, not as much apparently, or maybe she's just really really good and I'm just sort of good. I don't know, but she will, yeah, she'll really destroy me a lot. But she likes playing them, so I'm very very lucky in that regard, especially right now where we can't. get together with people very easily. It's nice to have someone in house I can play with.
Yeah, definitely. And you said you had a 10-year-old. Do you have more kids than that, or?
Yeah, I've got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old as well. So
Oh,
that's
exciting.
that makes it a little tough, just because the 5-year-old can't play a lot of the games that we play because she's still working on her reading, and it would just be too much for her. So
Right.
she always wants to play, and we can't include her in that, so we have to do something for her separately. And of course, the 2-year-old just requires a lot of attention.
But the 2-year-old trounces everyone, right? Like,
Probably would. Yeah, probably would. I mean, you'd at least grab your piece and throw them somewhere, and then you wouldn't know where you were. You would definitely cause some problems for sure. But yeah, I'm hoping just one of these kids becomes an avid gamer. I'm not sure. My eldest will play games, and some of them she kind of likes, but the best review she gives of anything is, "Oh, that was pretty okay." So I don't.
oh. You'd think they're at that age, 10 years old, they don't start being too rebellious, but when they're in their
Yeah,
teens, I would think, they'd start pushing back a little more and be like, oh,
yeah,
dad thinks this is cool, so it's probably not that cool.
yeah. That could happen. Every once in a while, I hear these stories of parents who play with their kids through their entire teen years. I'm like, man, I hope that's the case. That would be fantastic. But I don't know. I have a feeling it's just going to be. I don't know. She's going to become a cheerleader or something, and I'll have to go do that instead of playing games. But that's fine too. But
Yeah. I was on the other podcast, I interviewed Rob Davio, and
yes,
he was saying that he plays with it, or he like kind of pushes to play with his kids sometimes, so they're
right,
not super big gamers. And I thought that
right.
was really interesting. So,
Yeah, I know. It's like, man, I guess I can understand because I think when I was a teenager, I probably wouldn't have wanted to get real involved in whatever my parents were doing. But I listened to the D6 Generation podcast. Was probably the first board game podcast I listened to,
hmm.
and one of the hosts has been I played a D&D game with at least one of his daughters until she went off to college, and I think they might even be still trying to do something. I'm not sure, but it's like, oh man, you're living the life, buddy. Like,
Yeah, that is really cool.
yeah, no kidding. Gosh, if only.
Like, I'm happy if I can get a board game in with my wife once a month.
Oh, is she not very into gaming?
Yeah, not a whole lot. She'll play certain ones, and
Right.
she likes a lot lighter ones, and I'm like, oh, I crave the bigger, deeper ones, but
Yeah, I
it's all
I
right.
think I'm not completely sure because a lot of my gaming has been fairly firmly in like the mid to lightweight games. But I kind of think as it gets heavier, I don't think my wife is quite as into those. There's a few games we have that um, that I thought there was a lot of potential to, and I think she might as well. But she said there's really a lot to keep track of, and she wasn't as much a fan of trying to handle all these different things all over the place. So I'm wondering if maybe the more complicated games aren't necessarily what she's gonna like, but we'll see. It might be a matter of just finding the right ones. So we'll see.
Yeah. And I feel like there's always that you need that segue into it.
Yes, for sure.
So if you can find like a mid heavy and then
Yes,
amp you,
yeah.
you know.
Well, we my next review coming out, it's just waiting on being edited, is for Tidal Blades. I don't know if you've played that one.
Oh my gosh, such a pretty game. I haven't played
Yeah,
it, but I can't
that's
find it anywhere.
oh yeah, I don't know. I assume it's out on in retail, but it might be sold out. I'm not sure. But I backed that one, and that's one of the ones that I saw. I think I just saw the ads for on Facebook, and I was like, wow, that's gorgeous. I think I'm gonna back that. And without even really looking at what the mechanics were, I think I saw it was a worker placement. I'm like, that'll be fine, sure. And I backed that, and we played that a few times, and it's a good game, but there's a lot of different things going on. Beyond the worker placement, it's got sort of the I don't know if you've ever played like Elder Sign or one of those where you have to like match certain faces of the dice on things um, to complete a goal. It's got a lot of that going
Yeah.
on, and so there was a lot of different things. And so we both liked it. I think she was like, "What? There's a lot of different mechanics going on here," and I don't know if she completely enjoyed that part of it. But it is a good game. It's tough because the people we play with, most of them, I have like separate little groups of people I play with, and a lot of them only want to play cooperative games. Either they
Hmm.
just don't like the competitiveness, or they feel that they are too competitive themselves, so they'll play mean, and they don't want to do that. So, and we have to figure out like, okay, well, who will play this game with us, and I, some of them probably will not, just because of the competitive nature, and it is a little more complicated than some of the other stuff we typically bring them. So
Yeah. Oh, that's too bad.
yeah, yeah,
I was with you. I remember seeing the Facebook ads and clicking on that and just being like, "Oh my gosh, this thing
yes,
so
yeah. I mean,
pretty."
if I had enough room, I could just have a table and just have that set out, just as like a conversation piece almost. It's so gorgeous, uh, but no, I really did like it though. It's a good game. There's tons going on, but um, I don't know. I feel, and they put out a lot of background story as well as that game was going through the Kickstarter process, and
Mhm.
they really put a lot of love in that, and you can really feel that when you play the game. It's a very immersive game, I think, just because of how much uh, attention to detail they put into the visuals and whatnot.
Yeah. I remember watching a video and with one of the I remember watching a video with one of the designers
Hmm.
playing the game, and then he was talking about how the next thing they're going to put out for it, they are working on some more stuff, is going to
Yes,
be like a little bit deeper stuff. And I was like, holy cow. How do you
right.
go deeper? But and I
Yeah.
think I feel like he might have even indicated a little more co-op type stuff, but I
Oh,
don't
that'd be
know.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, I looked at that and I was like, this game, like it's semi co-op, but I feel like it would
Right.
really flourish full co-op.
Yeah, I think so as well. The thing about co-ops that's nice is it's a little easier to get people to play those more complicated games, because you're not
Mm-hmm.
they don't feel like they're getting smashed down if they make a mistake. It's like, okay, well, we're in it together, so um, without trying to quarterback too much, be like, oh, here's something you could do that would help this way, and it's not self-defeating to help them, and then they don't feel like you're out to crush them either. So I think a cooperative version somehow, or a sequel, I guess, would be pretty great. I think that might be a good way for them to go if they want to. But
Yeah, we'll see. I may be misremembering it, but
yeah, well, I know they're doing or I shouldn't say I know. I'm pretty sure they're doing an RPG based in the world, which could be interesting.
oh, I did see that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that
so
would be
we'll
really
see.
good because they created like a good lore.
Yeah, they really went all out for that, and I was not expecting. I was like, you could sell this just on the prettiness of the game, but they
Yeah,
they really they really put a ton into it, which is great.
agreed. Are you backing or are you waiting on any Kickstarters coming soon?
Oh boy, yeah. I've got gosh, I don't even know how many I've got coming. I'm not. And what's funny is I'm not close to a lot of other people that I hear about, but I know I'm trying to think what's coming soon here. I know the Vampire the Masquerade Rivals.
Hmm.
That's probably not too far away. That's it's not a living card game because that's Fantasy Flight, but it's along the same sort of idea.
Yeah.
That Yeah, and that's kind of cool. When I was a teenager, I liked the vampire role playing game, but it didn't get too much chance to play it. But man, I remember that world really well, so I'm kind of excited about the chance to play something in that. Yeah, like Ascension Tactics. I think that's still a ways out, but I'm excited about that one too. Oh man, there's a bunch. I kind of got a little addicted to Kickstarter in the last year, and my bank account has been crying ever since. So
So many of us. That's like my wife. I always I make the rule that like I have to get it approved by my wife before I buy it,
yeah, that's probably
and
wise.
that cuts them down. Well, like this last month or in February, I think. Yeah, they had like 6 or 7 amazing Kickstarters going at one, just all
Oh
out at
yeah,
one time, and I was like, oh, like there's no way I'll be able to get any of all of these passed by my wife's approval. Like
yes.
so I had to pick and choose.
There's some I go in for the dollar backing just to get to the pledge manager later, in the hopes that the pledge managers will be spaced out far enough that I can kind of make it work. But I mean, it doesn't always. There's definitely been some where I just was like, well, I guess I'm not getting that one. That's oh, too rough right now. But
Yeah.
yeah, oh god, There's so many good ones all the time. They catch you with their stretch goals, and you're like, oh, but if I don't get it, I don't get that stretch goal, and it's becoming a better deal every day.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like that shoots them in the foot a little bit because, like, even right now, there's Boss Monster, which I didn't back, and I could have, but I just, for whatever reason, I was like, I don't know, I don't know. I was on the fence, and then now that one's out, and I could go buy it at the, my local game store or
Right.
Amazon or something, wherever I can find it. But I'm like, but it won't have the Kickstarter stuff,
Yeah, that's
and so
true.
I almost like don't want to, but I should. I should
Yeah,
still just get it because it's the Kickstarter stuff just adds little things. So
yeah. And a lot of times, I mean, to be honest, I get a big Kickstarter with a ton of extra stuff, and it's amazing if I touch that extra stuff. It's just I get
yeah.
like I have it, and that feels nice, I guess. But actually getting all that extra stuff to the table is tough when your game time is a little bit limited. You just I can't play like 10 games a week, so the chance that I'm gonna cycle through all that when I've got a bunch of other games to play too, like I don't know, it's probably not gonna happen. But
Yeah.
yeah, I went to like I don't know, was it might have been 2 years ago. I went all in on the Batman. Was it?
Mm.
I can't remember the second.
Gotham City Chronicles.
Yes, and oh, I'm looking at it now. I opened the main box, and the others are still in shrink wrap, I think.
Oh
And
man.
I started reading the rules, and I was like, what is happening? The rules are not written incredibly great, in my opinion. So it's going to be a game someday. I'm just going to have to like plop it down and just fight my way through the rules and figure it out. But I don't know if I'll ever get to all that stuff. There's so dang much, and I did pull out and paint Bat Cow because it, it's Bat Cow. I don't you have
That
to
was a fun thing that they added just based on the backers. I
yeah
loved
I
that.
yeah I assume that's not a playable thing in the game. I don't know, but
So, do you paint miniatures a lot?
yeah I do. I mean I started with Dungeons and Dragons and painting miniatures up for that, and
Hmm.
man, those are bad paint jobs when I look at them. I don't claim to be an amazing painter now by any stretch, but when I look back at that, it's like, oh boy, that those should be thrown out. But um, yeah, I did it for that. Got into Warhammer for a long time. Still kind of am into Warhammer. And then now that board games have so many cool models too, I don't I think if I painted a model a day, I probably couldn't get through my whole backlog. I don't, in my whole life.
No, man.
Uh, but I do love doing it. I'm not great, I wouldn't say, but some of them turned out pretty good.
Well, that's awesome. I feel like I've seen you post a couple times on Twitter.
I probably have, yeah. I've been painting the Marvel Crisis Protocol. It's their Marvel miniatures game.
Yeah.
I've been trying to work on those. That's been really fun. Um, man, those models, I when that was announced, I was like, oh, these will be pretty easy models to deal with because they probably want to catch as many people as they can with a Marvel license. Those are some tricky models to build. They're no joke. Like
Oh,
I
really?
yeah, like you even in the base set you get like they're just the regular I think probably 32 millimeter size models, and so you have like Baron Zemo and his elbow pads are separate pieces, which is crazy because it's uh, like the size of 2 grains of sand maybe. And then if I remember right, I think the they're numbered incorrectly, so like it tells you that the right elbow pad goes on the left elbow, and so I was like, why can't I get this to get in there good? And so that there's a couple weird little things like that, but there's a lot of little tiny pieces. Stories of people losing a character's ponytail are all over the place, or Loki's horns, or whatever. Oh,
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
That is wild.
they're no joke, but they are really cool. They're great models, and it's a really good game too. So it's probably worth it. I just you got to be ready for a little bit of crossing your eyes trying to get those all put together.
Yeah. As a Marvel fan, that I haven't played Warhammer since I was 15.
Oh wow, yeah.
But because that's that same kind of style, right? Like it's that.
Yeah, it's just a smaller scale. At the Warhammer games, typically you have, God, I had 50 to 100 models on
Yeah.
your side, whereas this one, the way they want you to do is they want you to, pick 10 characters that could possibly be in your team, and then you'll meet up with your opponent, and then you pick your scenario, and then you choose models from those 10 to match up to the points value that the scenario asks for. So if it's 14 points, you have to look through your 10 guys and figure out
Oh.
14 points of models from there.
So kind of
So
like strike teams.
yeah, yeah. So it's a lot easier to get a team up and going. I collected and painted Warhammer for years and years without ever playing because I wanted to play only with a fully painted army. And
Yeah.
uh, at some point, I was like, you know what, I can't. It's never going to happen if I don't do it. And I ended up working for a Games Workshop for a short period of time, so I really had to play the games then. So I was like, I don't
Oh,
care if my
cool.
guys are all gray. It's going to be fine.
Yeah. What'd you do at Games Workshop?
I was a manager, but it was weird because they were opening a lot of stores in the Seattle area, which is up where I'm living. And they actually didn't even have a store for me yet. So they put me through they've got a really kind of intense training thing where they had us all go to Baltimore for like, I don't know, several weeks. I can't remember how long. They put you up in a hotel and they like train you every day.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and then I was just waiting for my store to open. So I was going, hopping from store to store as like a backup person. And then they downsized the retail division. So they're like, hey, you could reapply tomorrow, but I can't have someone we're paying as a manager that doesn't have a store. And I was like, well, that figures. um,
Oh.
yeah, but it's okay. I think they currently have their store model, at least in most places, is they have one manager, one employee in each store, and I think that would drive me nuts. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm not too upset that I ended up being booted out when I was.
That makes a lot of sense because so I just barely started getting into painting, and we've got a Games Workshop store not far
Mhm.
from us. And it drives me crazy. The guy there is insanely nice, so
Yes,
helpful, like gave me so many good tips on painting, and I've gone in there like 4 times since I started like a month ago.
right.
And yeah, so just like he makes you feel like you're the only person in the store even if
Yeah,
there's like two people waiting on you. But he since he's the only employee there, if he like needs to like watch his kid or if there's a training, like he'll just put a sign on the window and it'll be like uh open late today, like 3 o'clock, come back at 3 or come back at
yeah,
1. Or and so there's been several times where like I'd go in and he's not there and I'm like, oh, I've got to come back
yeah,
later today, like all
yeah.
right.
Oh yeah, and they have to close for their lunch break because obviously they need a break in the middle of the day. And
Yeah.
invariably, that's the time I can go. That's the moment where I'm able to get there, and they're on break, which is, I want them to have their breaks, of course, but it's
Yes.
it's just my timing and theirs just rarely ever works out. So it's I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it makes sense for them as far as finances, but it's a tricky thing. And then when things are more opened up too, if you're in there and you're playing one of these games that's generally pretty long and they have to go on their lunch break, it's like, okay, well, I have to leave for a while and go back, I guess, afterwards.
Yeah. Oh,
But
that
it's
would be
it's a
rough.
weird, yeah, it's a weird situation, but
Ours is really really small, like
yeah,
um so I don't think they play games there. I mean, right now they don't play anyway, but
yeah,
he said normally we do like painting workshops, and so we give you a little paint and give you a model to practice on, and we'll
sure,
teach you some techniques. And he's like, but with restrictions right now we can't do that. So
right, yeah, yeah. Mine is really small too. I think they have. I want to say they have two tables you can play on. I played in there a couple times. But yeah, there's not a lot of space for if a lot of people want to play at the same time, then some people are going home sad, I guess.
yeah.
There's no way around it. But the nice thing though is they've gotten when I was there, it was Warhammer Fantasy, 40K, and Lord of the Rings, and they were like, yeah, we're never gonna do the smaller specialist games again. That's not gonna happen. And now, of course, they have like Warhammer Underworlds and Warcry and all these small model count games that I think are great to get into doing that. I think it's I personally think it's smarter for them if you can get one of those and build those models and play the game. I think you're more likely to be like, yeah, I can tackle Age of Sigmar or 40K or whatever.
Yeah. So not being super into Warhammer for a long time. My brother really is, so I see a lot of models and whatnot. But what's your
Right.
army?
So in Age of Sigmar, I'm doing the Daughters of Cain, which kind of spawned off the old Dark Elves. They had the Witch Elf unit, which were just crazy, murderous elf ladies, and they kind of made an entire army of that, of just crazy, murderous elf ladies, and they have like blood chalices and a cauldron of blood and all sorts of. They really like blood.
Wow.
really, really bloody people, but they're really cool. They're um, not super sturdy, but they can dish out a lot of damage, which is fun. I
Nice.
have a Hedonites of Slanesh army that I've not yet played with, and I think I bought the army, and since I bought the army and not played, they've actually put out a new army book now. So,
Oh.
um, so yeah, I'm way behind on that. But they're kind of cool. And then 40K, I am way behind on playing that. I haven't played since fifth edition, and they're on eighth now. But when they changed over from Warhammer Fantasy Battles to um, Age of Sigmar, I was I was one of the people who was kind of mad about it. I wasn't burn my army in the backyard mad like some people were,
Oh
but
boy.
I was very unhappy, and I was like, well, I'm not going to buy any more GW stuff unless they make um, either a new Sisters of Battle army or they make the orcs more viable because I like both of those.
Hmm.
And they made a Plastic Sisters of Battle army, so I'm working on building that up now, and hopefully I can figure out how to play that game sometime soon. But we will
Nice.
see.
Yeah. I mean, is it just restrictions right now?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. I have a friend who lives nearby who plays all these games too, but it's we're both trying to be pretty careful about getting together. I could probably talk my wife into playing it, but then I have to have two armies built
Oh.
and ready to do it. I might have enough points of orcs built. I don't know. I don't know at all how they handle in the new rule set at all, but so I'd have to learn the game and two armies enough to be able to teach it. Ooh, boy, that's a lot.
Yeah, that would be intense.
Yeah, yeah. I think I always find the miniatures games to be way more complicated than board games. I think
Yeah.
just because of the choices you have in terms of, well, my guy's gonna go over here and do this, and then they're all gonna have shoot with like their 15 different kinds of guns and or whatever it is. Um, man, I have trouble keeping those rules in my head sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and even just I mean, board games now have been getting pretty ridiculous with some of the
Yeah.
setup.
Oh yeah.
Uh, but when I played Warhammer, 16 years ago, it was like we had to build a table every time and
Hmm.
lay out some stuff and make hills and make, like a cool landscape, which was a
Right.
fun process, but it made it so that we couldn't play Warhammers very often.
Yeah.
Warhammer, whatever. I don't know
Yeah.
what the proper way
I
to
got
say
you.
that is.
Well, there are two Warhammer games, so you can go with Warhammers.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm okay with that.
But and so I stopped painting subsequently because we couldn't play the
Right.
game anyway. And then
Right.
now there's so many board games with beautiful miniatures that it's
Yeah.
like, all right, I'm going to try painting again.
It really changes it when you have. I mean, the models themselves are great, but if you have fully painted models on the board, oh man, it's so much more amazing. Um,
Yeah.
I,
I
uh,
I haven't played any games with a fully painted models yet, so
no, me neither. I don't think I have a lot. Well, I want to say I have a lot, but not compared to the amount of models that I actually have. But I've got quite a few models painted for Mansions of Madness, which my wife and I really love.
Hmm.
And it's great when you have all the painted guys on the board, but then when something comes out and it's not painted, you're like, oh man, that's just not.
Mismatch.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
Yeah. So what hobbies outside of board games do you have?
Well, I do. Like I said, I like the war games and miniatures games. I like video games. I think if there's a thing that ends in the word game, I'm pretty into that. Except for sports because I'm really uncoordinated and I can't do it at all.
I'm
If it
with
ends in the
you.
word ball, I'm out. I can't handle it.
What about?
But
Oh wait, no, that's not it.
so yeah, I mean, most of my hobbies are on that. I do writing, story writing. They're not published or anything like that. Just kind of for fun.
Oh, cool.
Uh, yeah, so that's
What kind
that's
of what kind of stories do you write?
um so I'm one of these people that really still likes the high fantasy, with the um
Nice.
the grumpy dwarves and the whatever snotty elves. Some people are very tired of that, and I get it, but I'm not. So I write a lot in that kind of genre. It's fun because if you get into a tight spot, you can usually magic your way out of it. It's there's a million ways to make the story change and move. So, but I don't write a ton. I did the NaNoWriMo this year, the National Novel Writing Month, which was great. I think it's the first time I did that and actually got to the end of the story and didn't just stop after 50,000 words. So
Oh, cool.
that was fun.
That is really neat. Is that
Yeah.
out anywhere?
The story?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I've sent it to a few friends. I
Oh,
haven't
nice.
posted. I don't know if they actually have a spot to post it on their on the website for that or not, to be honest with you. But I'd like to work on it more and expand it out because right now, it's National Novel Writing Month, but it's not really the full length of a novel. I think you're supposed to do 50,000 words, which is
Oh,
a good sized story, but it's not as big as a novel you pick up at the bookstore or online or whatever.
right. That's cool though. What
Yeah.
about video games?
Oh yeah. So it is a little tough with the kids squeezing in time for this, but I do really like video games a lot. I've been playing since the Atari 2600,
Oh,
heck,
nice.
whenever the heck that was. Uh, yeah, I remember I don't know how old I was. I was some very young age, and my older sister, who was 5 years older, came and told me that mom and dad had a machine where they could hook it up to the TV and you could control things on the TV, and I couldn't even understand what she was talking about. I thought she was crazy, and I thought, yeah, we're gonna be moving like people in a sitcom around or what? And they plugged that in, and we probably played Pong and Combat or whatever real basic stuff they had with that. And I think I've been hooked ever since. So I think I've had at least something from every console generation for a while. I managed to like collect them all, but as money became more important for bills and stuff, I haven't been able to
Yeah.
do that. I did get somehow managed to get a PlayStation 5, so been kind of messing with that a little bit, which is
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, it's pretty fun. My whole family has some games that they like, so that's cool. We can play stuff together on one device or another.
Yeah. What are you playing on the PS5?
So my most recent thing I've been playing is Immortals: Phoenix Rising, which I think came out for just about everything, but it's probably not the most graphically intense game on the PS5, but it still is really beautiful. It's got kind of a more cartoony sort of sense to it, but it's Greek mythology based, although not sticking to it too strongly. It's it's made I think by the same people who make the Assassin's Creed games, so it's got a little bit of that feel without being quite as gory or anything.
Right.
But it's really fun. Like I love running around this open world and upgrading your character all over the place. And then you have oh gosh, Zeus and I can't remember the other god's name, who are occasionally chiming in with um, commentary on what's going on, and they're hilarious. They just say ridiculous jokes throughout the whole game, and that's a really good game. I love all the open world stuff where I can just run around and be kind of useless for a long time if I want to, but it's one of the better ones I think. I don't know if it got as much attention as some of the other things, but oh boy, I think if people like Assassin's Creed or like Legend of Zelda, I think anyone would like that game too if they enjoy those.
Yeah, that's a I think that's a good description of from what I've seen. Kind of a mix between Assassin's Creed and Zelda.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, because you can do some stealthy stuff. It's just not the main point of the game, but yeah, you can go and you can capture a mount and stuff like that. And man, it's yeah, it's pretty great.
That is cool. One day I'll get. Well, I mean, I know that's available on everything, but I want to get a PS5 just for the Spider-Man games, which
Oh
I know I
yeah,
could get a PS4 and just play them. But I'm like, yeah, but it's on the PS5, so why not
yeah,
play it real pretty?
yeah, exactly. I know. I had the first Spider-Man game on PS4, and it's a great game. And then I was in the same boat. It's like, man, I could play the Miles Morales one, but I mean, since the new system's out, I'm sure I'll get it at some point. So, and
Yeah.
I just lucked out. I sort of lucked out. I followed some things on Twitter that alert whenever it came into stock somewhere. And after trying, I don't know how many times, it finally popped up on Amazon, and with the one click buy or whatever it's called, I was able to actually manage to secure it. And man, it's still in really low supply though. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. I thought that it would be more available after
Yeah, me
about 3 or
too.
4 months, but man,
Yeah, I don't know if they're having a problem, supplying the manufacturers with some part or what, but there's definitely not enough yet.
yeah. I'm curious if it's how much play the scalpers play into that.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah.
if there were no scalpers at all, would we be able to go to a store right now and see two or three of them just in the case anytime? Or
I bet you would, because I know I saw pictures of people who had like 20 of them early on, and they're
yeah,
probably selling them for $1,000 each or something, which
exactly. Yeah.
is so maddening.
Uh,
I mean, I guess they have the right to do that, but I don't know. I don't like it personally.
yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a way for someone to make money, but it's I don't know. It's already an expensive enough console without having to buy it secondhand and
Yeah,
jacked
definitely.
up
I mean,
price.
people kind of do that with Kickstarters too, though. They'll get a game that they know people want, and they'll just get it so that when there's no late pledges open anymore, and people are like, "Oh, I should have gotten that," they can
It's
swoop
like,
in and be like, "Oh,
hey,
I'll give it to you for $200 extra."
yeah, that's true.
So,
But at that point they pledged and the game was made specifically for them.
well, that's true. That's true.
So
It is a
I
little
feel like
different.
that's an okay business model to some.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I
yeah,
think
and
that's fine.
if you're buying it and it's really that worth it to you to spend that much, and you have that much to spend, I guess go for it. That's It's okay.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's all right.
Yeah.
So we'll jump back to your videos. We didn't talk about that much at the beginning,
Oh
but
yeah.
so have you started recording at all yet?
I'm not actually the I my computer previous to this one was, oh God, I don't know, 8 years old maybe. I'm not entirely sure it's functional. So I just got the laptop that I'm kind of using to talk to you over. I think it showed up 2 days ago. I just got a camera that can take decent video. So I am still kind of working out the basics. I need to figure out a good spot to take video. I've got a couple options in mind, and then I have to learn the video editing software. So there's a lot I'm still kind of building up for to do this, because I whenever I put it out, I don't want it to look super amateurish. I guess. I mean, I know it's the I'm sure whatever first video I put out is going to be real cringeworthy, but at least when I look back, I'll be like, oh man, whew.
Just like the
Uh,
early painted miniatures, right?
yeah, exactly. I mean, but I think that's normal. I mean, anytime you start
Yeah.
doing something like this, there's beyond just learning the basics of how to do it. There's there's a lot more to learn that I think you can only get through trial and error. So I'm gonna see how that goes, but I'm hoping to get stuff going soon. It's just a matter of getting. I need to create a cool logo of some sort, and get like the basic opening and closing graphics at least of some kind, which I'm already looking into ways to get that done. But I
Nice.
want it to be at least look kind of interesting to people, and not just like I set up my webcam and went for it, which is fine too. But I want to try to get it as right as I can the first time, even though I'm sure there'll be weird stuff. Um,
Yeah.
but my plan is to focus mostly on reviews, but I wanted uh, to not only focus on the new games. I'm at least currently planning to go at the game, all games, new and old, because I don't know if I'm sure there's other people like me where I'll see a game that I think looks cool, and I will ponder it off and on for the next 3 years, and finally give in. Like I just bought Caverna, and I think I thought about buying Caverna for I, I don't even know how long, and I just didn't make the plunge for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And before I bought it, I went back and I looked at reviews again, and I looked at a Dice Tower review that I don't know. I think Tom Vassell might have been wearing diapers. He was so young, and not really, but it was definitely an older video, and I was like, oh
Yeah.
man, I am way behind the curve on this one. But I don't think that's too odd. I don't think most gamers can actually keep up with the constant influx of new games. I know
Oh yeah.
as much as I might try to, I certainly can't. And so I think having reviews come out even for games that maybe have been around for a bit, I think is actually probably helpful to more people than some would realize. Um, I I I certainly don't only look at the very newest reviews if I'm thinking about getting a game. If it's an older game, I want to find some old review that I can look at and find out about the game as well. So
Yeah. And
hopefully there's other people that'll like that idea.
I like that idea because if you go back, it's like I could go back and watch a 5-year-old video on it, on a
Right,
game probably, but a more recent review may compare it to another game or say like, oh,
right,
if you really like this newer game, then this is almost like an earlier version of it, but it does this better, or and it does this worse. Like I think that would
right.
work really well.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
so I
definitely.
like
It's like
that idea.
does this game still hold up against whatever new thing is coming out? And then, there's also kind of that. It's almost the opposite of that, but it can help people too. I think is when I watch a video review. Again, I watch tons of these, and you have these people that have been playing, I don't know, like 1,000 games a year for I don't know how many years, which I wish to God I could keep up with that, but I just can't. So,
Yeah.
and they'll be like, oh, well, this game, it has these mechanics, which, we've seen several times before. And it's like, wait, I actually haven't seen that several times before, but I like this particular theme. So I think it's still useful to people who maybe cannot play every single game or even a good chunk of the games that come out to be like, okay, well, this is what this game does. And, they'll know themselves if they've seen it a million times or not. But they could say, okay, well, but I really like this particular theme. That's why I'm looking at this video. And this person says it's good uh, for that theme. Then maybe that's a game I want to buy. So I think I think there's a lot of good from having reviews of the older games as well. I'll definitely cover newer ones
Yeah.
whenever I can too. But and I'm always happy when I listen to a podcast and they start talking about some game that I know has been out for a long time. I'm like, oh, that's great, that's cool. They're not just cracking open the newest Kickstarter they got and talking about just that. Although I want to hear that too. Um,
Right.
but that's kind of where I'm hoping to fit in here. Hopefully, folks will enjoy that.
Yeah, I think so. I think there'll definitely be an audience for that.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
yeah. Hopefully, it'll be great, or at least tolerable. I'll settle for tolerable. That's fine.
Yeah. As long as people don't cringe too much while they're watching. A little
Yeah,
cringe can
yeah.
build a little tension.
If they want to if they want to like subscribe and watch every video just so they could be like, oh, look at this, it's terrible. Like, okay, you know what? Thanks for the views. That's great. I'll I'll accept that. Just don't tell
Yeah.
me about it. Keep it to yourself.
That's what I used to say at the end of podcasts was like recommend us to your friends, or if you hated it, or if you think that your enemies will hate it, recommend it to your enemies type
Yeah, there you
thing.
go. Perfect.
Views are views, listens are listens.
Exactly. Yeah, no, yeah. Say you like this if you really want to mess with my head. Go ahead, do it. Click that
Yeah.
like button.
Exactly. So.
So do you? I don't know. I'm curious if you're like me in this aspect. When I'm playing a game where you're a real specific character, like Mansions of Madness or Descent or Arkham Horror, any of that stuff, a lot of the people I play with will kind of get a little into character. Like we're not full on role playing, but occasionally kind of like say something as a character or make a
Uh-huh.
decision based on like if I get to a tough spot and I'm like, I don't know which way to go on this, I'll be like, oh, okay, well, let's see, what would my character do here, and take that route. Am I the only one who does that? Am I?
No, I think sometimes I do that. More so well, I don't know. Yeah, generally I think I play as myself.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah, but I might do that and be like, you know what? Like, I'm an investigator. Maybe I'm not so much a combat guy. I shouldn't go dive into the combat, even though I want to. Like, I need to
Yeah.
investigate the crime. Like, that's what I'm more interested in as this character. That'd be a
There
good
you
way to
go.
play it.
Like because whenever I'm playing a game, I'm if there's a role that I'm playing, which is what I prefer. I kind of really try to immerse myself into thinking along those lines. And so just the occasional thing where like, oh, I don't know if this is a good idea, but I feel like Ash Can Pete here would probably make that choice. So let's see how that goes. Which may drive other players that I'm playing with nuts. I'm not sure, but um, nonetheless, like I don't know, I find that really enjoyable.
That
Um,
is really cool.
there's a game I kickstarted called Storm Thunder Heirs of Ruin, which is sort of a campaign dungeon crawler.
Hmm.
And what's kind of neat, hopefully it gets pulled off well here, is you have these variety of characters you can play, and some of them are very clearly a good person, where they're like, oh, I'm a cleric of so and so and whatever. But then there's also like one of the characters is this very psychotic, ruthless vampire lady, and you can all team together, and that's fine because there's a reason in the backstory why these odd groups have come together,
Uh-huh.
but it sort of enforces you to think along the way your character would. So in the campaign, if it's like I'm just pulling up, I don't know if this is a thing that's actually in the game, but it's like, oh, this bandit tried to rob you, but you caught him. Do you want to show him mercy or do you want to kill him? And so if you're the crazy vampire lady and the group says, well, we're gonna let him go, we'll show him mercy. And if those things keep coming up, what can happen is your character becomes disgruntled and your character can actually leave the party and become an NPC and maybe even an enemy to the rest of the party. And you
Oh
have to get
wow.
another character because your party is not appeasing your character enough, which I think is kind of interesting. I really like it. There might be people who are like, well, but I want to be the vampire lady, but I want to be nice. I don't know, but I think that's really an interesting way to do things. I'm hoping it turns out as cool as it sounds.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. My friends he talked about how he always wanted to do kind of a role-playing board game night.
Yeah.
He's like, just you just have to commit, like go full nerd and just commit to a character and we'll play like Zombicide and you're the jock, or like you're,
Right.
whatever it is, like you're a soldier and you just stay in character. You're a redneck and so you'll talk like that the whole time and we'll interact like we are the people in the game, which I thought was a really fun idea. So
Yeah.
when things open up, we'll probably do that. Maybe even try and make a video out of it and see if it's entertaining
Ooh,
or if
that
it's
would be
terrible.
great. Yeah, yeah. It could be either. I, I don't watch a lot of the playthrough videos. Like I don't know why. I'm sure some of them are great too, but I started. I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to watch this for 2 hours of people playing the game that I can't play. I'm
Yeah,
not
right.
there. But like, I think if you can make it entertaining like that, I think I'd be a lot more inclined, rather than just like, I'm gonna move my guy here, and there. Um, but I would actually probably watch something like that if you guys are trying to act out your character a bit. I think that could be hilarious.
I would hope so. None of us are good actors or anything, I think. So
I think that makes it
it
better,
could be pretty
actually.
great. Oh, okay. Just be like, I reckon I'll go take out this here zombie.
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right, I'm just gonna roll my die.
Exactly. That's the way to do it. I know. I tried to do like I was playing Arkham Horror, and you're supposed to draw these. I don't think they're called event cards. I'm forgetting, but like, and you're supposed to read what somebody else drew to them so they can make a choice.
Oh yeah.
There's something where they went to like the newspaper editor, and I was trying to talk like an old fashioned movie person, like, very good boy. I see you got some information for me, and
Oh
it
nice.
it probably sounded actually terrible, but it was really fun to do, and I'm sure if it was on video, I'd probably be embarrassed 5 years later. So that's nice.
Totally, but it's fun. It's fun to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Can't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to plug your social media?
Yeah, absolutely. So, all of my reviews right now, my written reviews, are up at boardgamesquad.com. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at all games new n old, like the letter N. I have an Instagram as well, which I've just started, so there's probably nothing going on there yet, but I'm hoping to put a lot more on there. And that's the same name, all games new and old. So, and then I will definitely post when I've started to put videos out, and I post every time I put a review out as well. So, if you're curious if you can stand me or not, that's the places to look.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's been great.
Thank you for listening. You can follow me at Nerd Out With Us on Twitter. And if there's anybody that you would like to get to know better in the board game community, let me know. You can @ me or DM me. If it's you, that's great. That's going to be even easier. Then I don't have to reach out to anyone. David's YouTube channel is now up. He's got one video on there so far at the time that I'm recording this. So go check it out. It's all games new and old. If you enjoy the podcast, please subscribe or follow, whatever the term is used in your podcasting app. I would very much appreciate that. Also, if you're liking it, leave me a review. Or if there's things that you think could be done better, let me know. Reach out to me. You can DM me or @ me. Again, same type of thing. I'm always looking at improving. Starting this coming Wednesday, I'm going to be putting out bonus episodes of me and Phil, who was in episode 2, his partner Mark, a friend from Twitter, Elena, and a friend from real life, Matt, are playing Bunkers and Badasses, which is a tabletop RPG based on a DLC in a video game, Borderlands. And it's a lot of fun. We laugh a lot. It's a good time. It's only my 3rd time DMing something. Technically, it's called BMing in this. Bunker Master. So I'm going to play a little teaser here, teasing the first episode. So, you want to hear a story?
Ooh, a trailer.
Do we want to try diplomacy?
It's a bit late for that.
Well, now the shooting started, I'll join it.
He did.
I might have got on the wrong bus.
Got a nat 20.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Do something badass.
His last word was, "Damn years to got off the bus."
Did you say how long you'd been an assassin for?
Now he's just floating 2 halves up there.
Bin diver.
They'll never be the same.
Welcome to the floor.
Oh boy, these guys don't have a chance.
Bunkers and Badasses on the Board Game Community Show.